You've done it before. Maybe you didn't even notice. Someone in a group chat gets blamed for something. You know the truth. You stay quiet. A stranger online gets torn apart by a mob of comments. You don't defend them. You scroll past. You tell yourself, it's nothing. Self-preservation, not betrayal. But scientists have proven something far stranger. Given the right conditions, you would not just stay silent. You would actively hurt a stranger. Not because you're cruel, not because you're broken, because your brain is running code that is older than language itself. And it takes less than 5 minutes to switch on. In 1961, a psychologist at Yale University wanted to understand something that had been bothering him for years. His name was Stanley Milgram. He had grown up Jewish during the aftermath of World War II, and one question haunted him. How did ordinary people become capable of the Holocaust? Were the guards and officers uniquely evil, or was something else happening? So, he built an experiment. Participants were told they were helping test memory and learning. A man in a white coat greeted them, calm, authoritative, clipboard in hand. The participant was assigned the role of teacher. Another person, hidden in a separate room, was the learner. Every time the learner answered a question wrong, the teacher had to deliver an electric shock. The shocks increased in intensity with every mistake. 15 volts, 75 volts, 300 volts. All the way up to 450. The learner was an actor. There were no real shocks, but the participant didn't know that. As the voltage rose, the actor screamed, begged, pounded on the wall, then went silent, as if unconscious, or worse. And here is the part that shook the entire field of psychology. Most participants kept going. 65% delivered the maximum shock, 450 volts, to a stranger. A stranger who had done nothing to them. A stranger who was screaming in pain seconds earlier. Why? Because the man in the white coat told them to continue. That was it. A calm voice. A lab coat. 4 simple phrases. Please continue. The experiment requires that you continue. It is absolutely essential that you continue. You have no other choice. You must go on. No threats, no weapons, no punishment for refusing. Just authority. And that was enough to override empathy in the majority of ordinary, decent people. Your first instinct is probably to think you'd be different. You'd refuse. You'd walk out. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Almost everyone thinks that. Milgram asked psychiatrists to predict the results before running the study. They estimated less than 1% of people would go all the way to 450 volts. They were wrong by a factor of 60. The gap between who you think you are and what your brain will actually do under pressure is enormous. And it has almost nothing to do with your morals. So what is actually happening inside you in that moment? Your brain evolved in small tribal groups, tens of thousands of years strong, where survival depended on hierarchy. Following the group's leader wasn't weakness. It was strategy. A hunter-gatherer who questioned every decision of the group's most experienced member risked being cast out. And in the ancient world, being cast out from the group meant almost certain death. No protection, no food-sharing network, no one to help fight off predators. Obedience wasn't a flaw. It was survival software. Neuroscientist Emily Casper at Ghent University ran modern brain imaging versions of Milgram's experiment decades later. She found something remarkable. When people acted under orders, activity decreased in the brain regions responsible for empathy and guilt, specifically the anterior insula. It wasn't that participants stopped feeling anything entirely. It was that the brain quieted the very signals that would normally stop you from hurting someone. Being told what to do doesn't just change your behavior. It changes what your brain lets you feel. But obedience to authority is only half of the story. The other half is even stranger. It isn't just about who tells you what to do. It's about who you believe the stranger even is. In 1954, psychologist Muzafer Sherif ran an experiment now known as the Robbers Cave Study. He took 22 boys, all normal, well-adjusted, 11 years old, to a summer camp in Oklahoma. He split them into 2 groups without them knowing about each other at first. The Eagles, the Rattlers. Within days, each group had built its own identity, flags, slang, inside jokes. Then Sherif introduced competition, tug of war. baseball, points on a scoreboard. The transformation was almost instant. Boys who had never met each other began calling the other group cheaters, thieves, cowards. Flags were burned, cabins were raided. Name-calling escalated into real physical fights. These weren't troubled kids. They were ordinary children, placed into two labels, given a reason to compete. The stranger didn't change, the label did, and that was enough to turn a fellow 12-year-old into an enemy worth sabotaging. This is the second piece of the machinery inside you. Your brain doesn't just obey authority, it instantly, unconsciously, sorts people into categories. One of us, or one of them. And the moment someone is filed under them, the empathy that normally protects strangers quietly switches off. You can see this today without looking very hard. A comment section splits into two sides within minutes of any controversial post. A sports rivalry turns polite fans into people hurling insults at strangers who happen to wear a different jersey. A disagreement in politics turns a neighbor into an enemy. None of this requires evil people. It only requires two labels and a scoreboard. Now, put both pieces together. Authority that tells you it's fine. A label that tells you they don't deserve empathy. That combination is not rare. It's disturbingly common. And it doesn't take a psychology lab to trigger it. It takes a workplace, a classroom, a comment thread, a courtroom, a war. There's a third layer, and it might be the most unsettling of all. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo, at Stanford University in 1971, wanted to see what would happen if ordinary college students were given power over other ordinary college students. He built a fake prison in the basement of the psychology building, randomly assigned some students to be guards, others to be prisoners. The experiment was supposed to run for 2 weeks. It was shut down after 6 days. The guards, normal, healthy young men with no history of cruelty, began humiliating the prisoners within 24 hours. Sleep deprivation, forced exercises as punishment, psychological manipulation. One guard later admitted he began to enjoy the power. Some prisoners suffered such severe emotional distress that they had to be removed early. Zimbardo's conclusion was chilling in its simplicity. Give ordinary people a role, a uniform, and permission, and the situation itself will shape behavior more than personality ever could. You are not immune to any of this. No one is. That is the actual finding, replicated for over 60 years, across dozens of countries and cultures. Obedience to authority, tribal loyalty, and the corrupting effect of unchecked power are not personality defects found in bad people. They are default settings, built into every human brain, activated by the right conditions. This is why the betrayal in the group chat isn't really about you being a bad friend. It's a modern echo of ancient tribal calculus. Protect your standing in the group. Don't risk your position defending an outsider. This is why pile-ons happen so fast online. A crowd forms, a label gets attached, cancelled, problematic, cringe, and within seconds thousands of strangers feel justified in cruelty towards someone they've never met. This is why office politics can turn colleagues into enemies, over nothing more than which department they belong to. None of this means you're doomed to repeat it. Milgram's own data revealed something hopeful buried inside the darkness. When participants saw another teacher, actually an actor, refuse to continue, obedience rates collapsed. From 65% all the way down to 10. One person's visible resistance gave everyone else permission to resist too. That is the counterintuitive twist hiding inside all this research. The switch that turns off your empathy is ancient and automatic, but so is the switch that turns it back on. You are wired to follow the crowd. You are also wired to follow the first person brave enough to say no, which means the most powerful thing you can do in any group, online or in person, isn't complicated. It's simply being the one who refuses first. Next time you're in a group chat and someone starts getting blamed unfairly and you know the truth, notice the impulse to stay quiet. That impulse isn't a character flaw. It's 60,000 years of tribal survival instinct whispering in your ear. Notice it, name it, then choose anyway. Next time a comment section turns into a pile-on and you feel that pull to add one more insult or simply say nothing while a stranger gets torn apart, remember, Sherif's boys. Remember how fast the Eagles and the Rattlers became enemies over a flag and a scoreboard. Remember that the person on the other side of the screen was never actually your enemy. They were just given a label at the wrong moment. You've done it before. Maybe you didn't even notice, but now you do. Subscribe to our channel and like the video to get more interesting videos like this.